If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Welcome back to our second half of Green is Good, our friends and family edition. And I am so honored, Mike, to have on the phone with us from San Francisco my good friend, partner, and the first page sage himself, Evan Bailyn. Thanks, Evan, for joining us on Green is Good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you know, Evan, you've done so much. You at a very young age, under 30, you've created and sold many online companies, over 5, if my memory serves me correctly. You're also one of the top SEO people in the world, not only in the green sector, but across all different types of verticals. And you're also been hired by one of the top publishing houses in the world to write the book Outsmarting Google. Evan, what's going on? And tell us about what you're doing in the green revolution in the social media.
Well, there's so many different things I'm doing. One of my favorite things that I'm doing is, of course, working with you on your green properties and democratizing recycling, especially through 1-800-recycling.com.
Thank you.
What I really love doing is working with companies that I can make a difference for because of my unique skill set.
Right.
So I have the ability to get to the top of Google for any search term, and to do really well with social media sites, including Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And that's a skill that not most people have. And what it can do is bring a company to a place of high visibility quickly. And it's not something that I would use with just any company. And that's why I choose to work with companies that I know are highly ethical and are doing things that make a positive difference in the world, and specifically for the earth, because that's something that I've gained a passion for. Actually, in probably the last 5 years, I've become a lot more aware of everything that's going on the planet. And of course, I think our culture has become more aware, and it's something that I've decided to move my life and my business a lot more towards.
Well, Evan, before we get any further, let me try and play catch up. As far as terminology, SEO. Now, I've heard of a CEO, CFO, but what is an SEO?
Okay, an SEO is a search engine optimizer.
Okay, search engine. So that's where the Google comes in and outsmarting Google. Okay, gotcha.
And Evan, I want to step back. I know you graduated from Columbia and you're a brilliant writer, but what led you to become even an entrepreneur, to start all these great companies and sell them, which is such an art to not only start and scale, but then to sell and monetize these companies. We have so many people listen to our show, both ecopreneurs, entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs. So there's, people want to know, what was your inspiration or epiphany to make you want to become an entrepreneur instead of just a writer or just go work for somebody else? What was that moment?
Well, I think there's always been something inside of me that that has said to me, well, I'm a special person. I think I can do something more than an everyday job, and I think I can make a really big difference for lots of people. But I just didn't know how to implement it, and my parents are wonderful, but neither of them are entrepreneurs. So I kind of had to go at it on my own, and I was fortunate that my older brother, Brad, has a real entrepreneurial streak in him. And so he graduated from law school, and I had graduated from Columbia, and we had always said we were going to start a family business. And that was the moment where I decided that I was going to learn how to do this, as scary as it was. And, the process of becoming an entrepreneur eliminates a lot of people because of the fact that it's difficult. A lot of people doubt you. But over the years, we just, kind of put our noses to the grindstone and push through even in times when we experienced failure, because we strongly believed that we had it inside of us to make a huge difference for people and to do very well for ourselves in business. So I think it's that perseverance and that sense, I think that inner self-confidence that both of us are blessed with, that allowed us to become entrepreneurs. And from there, it's just fascinating to, go through the different business practices that there are out there, see which ones work for you, and kind of through trial and error, builds business after business.
So now you're writing the book Outsmarting Google, which we'll have you on another show to talk about when that book comes out. But talk about Google and some of the social media platforms right now. How did you crack the Google code? And talk a little bit also about Facebook, which they just came out with a statistic that if Facebook was its own country, it'd be the 4th largest country in the world. Speak a little bit about the Google Facebook phenomena.
To answer your first question about cracking the Google code, that was something that I think of as just simple spotting patterns, just like in elementary school where they'll show you a pattern and they'll show you something that's not a pattern, and they'll say, I want you to identify which of these, exhibits a pattern. That is exactly what I do when I reverse engineer an algorithm. And I did the same thing with Google, and it's not very tough, but it does take a lot of perseverance. So it took me a year and a half of sitting there trying to link from websites that I had purchased for, not much money at all, to one of my websites, my first business, which was called collegeadmissionessay.com. And I think I was using 5 or 10 different websites at a time. Some were mine, some were friends of mine. And I would just link in different size fonts, different color fonts, at the top of the page, at the bottom of the page. And I just tried everything. And through that process, eventually I found the correct way to link that passes trust onto a website and causes it to rank highly. And I think Facebook has followed a pretty similar pattern in terms of, what I've done to break that code to get a huge amount of fans to any fan page. And that's simply, looking for what Facebook looks for when they're granting a lot of fans to somebody is, how many invitations are sent out, and how much exposure in the right-hand side sort of ad box where they suggest fan pages does a page get. If you can get to the bottom of that algorithm through simple observation and noticing patterns, you can do very well. And that's kind of how I've done it.
Evan, go back to Mike's first question, which was a great question about SEO and what it really means, and why should people hire you for your service instead of doing SEO themselves? And I'm just going to give a disclaimer here: you not only do it for all of our web properties, and like I said, Mike, we're giving away one of my greatest secrets today, Evan Bailyn and First Page Sage, which are for our listeners out there. They could go read more about Evan and find his services and find a way to connect with him by going to his great website, www.firstpagesage.com. First Page, P-A-G-E, Sage, S-A-G-E.com. Why, Evan, I already am a client of yours. I already use your services, and we've partnered on other ventures. Well, I know why, but explain why to our audience, why people should be hiring you for your services instead of doing this themselves.
The answer, it's a lot simpler now than it used to be years ago. Years ago, you used to be able to do a little bit of research and understand how SEO works, more or less, and maybe you don't get to the level that I got to after, a year and a half of staying up all night and all this trial and error, but you'd be able to do some decent SEO. Nowadays, the whole thing that Google does is try to prevent people from causing websites to link. They believe that it should be a natural process, a very democratic process of whoever gets the most links naturally shows up at the top of the search results. But of course, everybody wants to get the most links, so they start making deals, making trades in order to get more links for their website. What Google has done that makes it so difficult for people to do SEO themselves nowadays is block the ability for many websites to pass that trust on. And trust is the currency of Google. It's the thing that allows websites to rank in the first place. So Google blocks the passing of that trust from one website to another if they see that you're trying to trade links or buy links or make any sort of artificial deal. So what I do is I create a very, very natural kind of transfer of links from one site to another, and I work with editorial content, and I do all kinds of things that take a tremendous amount of effort to make the passing of trust the most natural way possible. So it's through very natural linking that I found a lot of success, and that's difficult for most people because they're just trying to get from A to B. They want their site to rank, and they want to pay for it, or they want to just do X, Y, or Z. And that just can't be done anymore.
And again, Evan, just as a disclaimer, I'm not only a huge fan of yours, and you're the first SEO person we've had on the show because we believe in you so much, and you've done such a brilliant job with all of our properties, 1-800-recycling.com, Electronic Recyclers International. But can you explain to our audience at large why is social media so important in promoting business, in promoting people, entrepreneurs, or their business ventures? Because we have a lot of ecopreneurs or people who are dreaming to become one, and I need them to understand through your own voice how much noise there really is out there and how you bring people above the din.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, I think, is starting to get a sense of how important social media is, and one of the reasons is because mostly everyone is on a social network. Certainly, people that are, let's say, below the age of 35, almost 100% of people are on Facebook. And, the amount of people over the age of 35 that are on Facebook continues to grow, and it's already tremendous. So, they have 500 million users. That's the answer to why social media is relevant. That's just Facebook alone. Then you throw in Twitter and YouTube, and, YouTube is the third most popular site on the whole Internet, and Twitter is up there as well. So these are sites that have mass adoption. Tremendous amount of people are using them, and they're only growing in popularity. Each one of the major social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, are growing in popularity. So that's why they're important. But what kind of is the difference between myself and all of the other social media marketers, or I should say many, not all, is that they're kind of training people about how to do social media more effectively, how to get their messaging out. And what I do is, I have access to hundreds of thousands, or in some cases millions of people, and I just suggest my clients to them. And again, I only work with clients that I believe in tremendously, and then I can wake up every morning and say, I really enjoy working with these companies and these people.
Gotcha.
So I suggest them, and it's huge because social media is people's personal lives to a large degree, and when you can bring a business into people's personal lives, then you have a really deep connection.
Gotcha.
It's amazing you were talking, Evan, about the currency of the social media being trust, and I know it's used in a different, a trusted source, but you walk your talk in this because you are not going to deal with people that you don't personally trust and feel good about, knowing that they are ethical business people. That really says a lot about your company and how you do your business.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think everybody would like to do that. I'm fortunate that, I've had success in the past that allows me to kind of pick and choose clients, but I think everybody should aim to do that because I can work more productively for my clients because I like them all. When somebody makes a request, John, you're a great example. When we're looking to do something, when we're looking to accomplish something that hasn't been done by many companies,
right?
I want to think of a creative solution. I want to get it done, and I'm going to do anything I can to get it done because I enjoy working with you and because I love your team and your company.
Well, that's true. And Evan, you're a tireless worker, and you're also a brilliant worker, and you're so collaborative. So for all of my competitors out there, and everyone in the green world and beyond the green world who wanna raise your visibility and also increase sales, there's no better in the entire world than Evan Bailyn. And remember, I've been in the internet business since 1998. But Mike, I want to go back to a simple example here for Evan to discuss for our listeners. So Evan, if Mike invented a wonderful shoe and he was a shoemaker, and I did the same, and we were down the street from each other competing, but Mike hired you for your services and I did not. Explain then how you would, by raising the visibility of Mike in the social media world and the search engine optimization world, Mike would then gain more sales and become a more successful business because of your services.
Well, it comes down to just what you were saying. It's the visibility. So what I would do, in this case, this would be Mike who I'm working with, or you?
Right. Mike you'd be working with, and I'd be toiling away down the street, suffering.
Well, what I love to do is take a company or a brand that may not be as established as another one that's been around for decades, and then cause them to exceed the visibility of the long-established brand. So I can take the little guy and make them appear to be as big as the big guy in terms of their audience. And I can actually make their audience, in many cases, larger than a huge brand.
Great point.
So that's what I would be doing for Mike. What I would be doing, to kind of break it down, is, first of all, engaging a large Facebook audience. Now, you can talk all day, and many people do, about the best ways to message the public and what you should be writing to them on your status updates on Facebook. But you need numbers, and you need quality numbers. So the first thing I would do is get Mike 10, 20, 30,000 fans,
right? And
then we'd be working on great ways to talk to those fans in a way that sounds genuine and not commercial. Because people they're hanging out with their friends, they're looking at photos on Facebook. They don't have time for commercial messages. They don't tolerate that as much. So it would be really personal, and I would do the same on Twitter and YouTube, and of course Google through SEO.
Gotcha.
Pushing everybody to the top. I'd be pushing, Mike's product to the very top of the search results and getting in a large audience. And from there, it's pretty clear why his sales would go up.
Gotcha.
Okay, now the question would be, since John was kind enough to assume that I would be the smart one and I would hire you before John did, my question would be this. Obviously, I get the strategy, Evan, that we would want to get a fan base established first. But the question would be, from me to you as a client, with 30,000 or 40,000 different fans that are following that we now have access to, how do we personalize it? Because traditional advertising media, you come up with a target consumer. So you take an average of tastes, of styles. How do you, in the social media, without giving away all of your secrets, but how do you differentiate and make it personal for 30 to 40,000 people as a base to start? Because obviously you want to expand
Which
beyond
grows
that.
from there.
Yeah, exactly, because of the viral nature of the social media. But how do you make it personal?
Well, Mike, that's a really good question. One of the things that I do for my clients is I specifically, a lot of what I do is I invite specific people that I think would be interested in the business that my client is in.
Right.
So I would invite people that have expressed on their Facebook profile that they're interested in the green world to John's properties.
Right. Yes.
So, laser focus, or as close to laser focus as we can with Facebook's rules right now, is key to the strategy. And then in terms of personalizing, of course you're not going to get everybody that has the exact same interest. You're going to have a wide variety when you're dealing with such a large group. So what you have to do is make the messages general enough, and they don't have to be too general, but they have to have some universal appeal to them. That they really appeal to all different types of people. And I think things like quotes, things that seem like they come from the heart, that they're really sincere messages, are universally applicable. And then what happens is you put contact information so people can specifically inquire about whatever it is they're interested in. And then you deal with customers on a personal level from there through those general messages.
And let me just jump in here. Mike, you're asked a brilliant question. And what Evan does, and what he's so great at, he really gets to know the segment or the idiosyncratic nature of the product and also the people behind the product. And therefore, then he tailors his message to people. He makes it so focused and so specialized. So it creates a personal connection with the fans and the tribe that he's created.
So what you're talking about is really identifying core values.
Yeah. He does it because he takes the time to learn who each of his clients are. So, I mean, and Evan's just brilliant at that. Evan, there's an ongoing debate in the media. I'm going to switch topics here a little bit, but all around your specialty, and about social media, Twitter, Facebook, Google. What's the most relevant? What's rising above others, and what should be leveraged the most? Do you have a favorite out of Facebook, Twitter, and where do you see the future of social media going?
Very good question. That's something that a lot of people would love to know. I would place my bets on Facebook. The reason I say that is because Facebook has been growing at an astounding rate, and because it's larger than any website that does anything social, except for Google. But Google, you couldn't quite call that a social website quite yet. It's email, but it's not a social network connecting people.
Okay.
In terms of the types of activity and the engagement and the amount of time people are spending, Facebook is the highest on the internet by far.
Got it. And, in terms of where social media is going, give it a little visibility, because after we talk about this, I want to get into a couple of your ventures, one that you just started and one that you just you sold. We're down to the last couple of minutes, so I want to just give a little visibility on where social media is going, then we're going to talk a little bit about Cartoon Doll Emporium.
I think the future of social media is going very much in the direction of what Facebook has been doing, which is allowing people to use their friends as references for social things. Entertainment things, lifestyle things like books and movies, beauty products. So you'll be able to see when you go to a website how many of your friends like that product, because the website hopefully will place a Facebook widget right there on their homepage. And this is happening increasingly, and it allows you to use your friends as kind of the arbiters of things that are personal to you. And it's given them a leg up on Google in terms of social recommendation. I think social recommendation is huge. And the last thing I would say about the future of social media is that at some point, I think it's possible that the government could step in and try to make the internet a little bit more kind of democratic and personalized to you, and they could detach your Facebook profile and your entire online identity and your social identity and give you the opportunity to plug that into any social site that you want. And, of course, Facebook wouldn't like that very much, but that's the type of thing that we could see 5 years, 10 years down the road as your information becomes more personal to you, and people care more about their privacy, and people, want to be able to use the tremendous amount of information about them however they like.
Hey, Evan, well, you just recently sold, and I'm not here to give away any personal information, but you recently sold one of your great websites, Cartoon Doll Emporium. Can you just, for 30 seconds or less, blow out our listeners' ears and brain with how many viewers you had every month on that site? And then we're going to finish we're down to the last minute, we're going to finish with your new foundation. So talk about why that became so successful, how many people were on it, and then let's get into why and how you founded Evan Bailyn Foundation.
Absolutely. Well, Cartoon Doll Emporium is one of the largest kids' websites online. Last year it got almost 70 million unique visitors, and it's just a very simple idea. It was founded based on the idea of stimulating kids' imaginations and giving them a safe, imaginative place where they could play. And the idea just caught on through a lot of work, and of course social media and SEO, and it's got a great home now, and it's as great as ever.
Amazing. And I know you just started the Evan Bailyn Foundation. Over the front of our door is Martin Luther King saying everybody can be great because everyone can serve. I know that's your heart, and I know that's your soul. Just explain, we're down to the last 30 seconds, why you founded that and what you're going to be doing with that, and then we're going to have to say goodbye today.
The Evan Bailyn Foundation is just a way to support projects that kind of support a child's right to be themselves. I think all kids have an innate creativity, and often the authority, tries to shape kids into what they believe is best, and I think kids have the right to do what they truly believe in their heart and what they feel like doing, and this foundation supports projects that nurture that idea.
Well, Evan, we're going to have you back on because, again, we're running short on time today because you're just so amazing to speak with and hang out with here and at Green is Good, and once you write Outsmarting in Google, Mike and I are going to have you back, but we're so honored and thrilled you came on today, and we just want our listeners, remember I said I'm giving away one of my greatest secrets. Go and find Evan at firstpagesage.com. He truly is the first page sage. Evan Bailyn, you are truly living proof that green is good.